was 31 when I got the call that would ruin my life. A producer position on the Ellen DeGeneres Show, the kind of opportunity that felt like winning the lottery. After 7 years of grinding through reality TV production in Philadelphia, bouncing between canceled shows and toxic sets, this was supposed to be my big break. The interview wasn't what I expected. No panel, no questions about my resume. Just me and a woman named Carol in a windowless conference room in Burbank. She was in her 50s, perfectly composed, but there was something tired behind her eyes, like she'd been awake for a decade. "Ellen values loyalty above all else," Carol said, sliding a thick NDA across the table. "You'll see things, hear things, experience things, but what happens in Studio 1A stays in Studio 1A. Forever." I signed without reading it. I needed this job. I needed to believe I was finally making it. My first day, I arrived at 5:30 a.m. The studio lot was already buzzing with crew members who moved like they were on autopilot, efficient, silent, almost robotic. Nobody made eye contact. Nobody smiled. It felt less like a workplace and more like a factory. I was assigned to segment production, which meant I coordinated guest interviews, prepped talking points, and made sure everything ran smoothly during taping. My supervisor was a man named Derek, mid-40s, who spoke in clipped sentences and never looked at you for more than 2 seconds. "Rule 1, he said flatly. "Ellen doesn't acknowledge crew unless she needs something. Don't take it personally. Rule 2, if you see something unusual, you didn't. Rule 3, never ever be in hallway D after 8 p.m. I laughed nervously. "Why?" He didn't answer, just walked away. The first week was a masterclass in invisible hierarchy. There were people who mattered and people who didn't. Crew members were firmly in the second category. We were furniture, necessary but unseen. Ellen herself was a ghost. She'd appear on set minutes before taping, do her thing, the dancing, the jokes, the manufactured warmth, and then vanish. The second camera stopped rolling. No small talk, no thank yous. Just gone. But it was the moments between tapings that felt wrong. The studio would fall into this heavy silence like the air itself was holding its breath. Crew members would move in synchronized patterns, cleaning, resetting, preparing, but nobody spoke. It reminded me of ants following pheromone trails. I noticed other things too. The temperature was always off. Some hallways were freezing, 59, 60 degrees, while others were uncomfortably warm. Stage lights would flicker during commercial breaks but work perfectly during filming. And there were sounds. Faint humming, like machinery, but it came from the walls. One afternoon, I was walking past the green rooms when I heard crying. Soft, muffled, coming from behind a closed door. I stopped, hand hovering over the handle, when a security guard appeared out of nowhere. "Keep moving," he said flatly. "Someone's crying in there." "No one's in there." "Keep moving." I looked at the door again. The crying had stopped, but I swear to God I saw the handle move. From the inside. It took me 3 weeks to find hallway D. It wasn't on any map, wasn't mentioned in orientation, but I'd heard crew members reference it in whispers, always with the same warning: don't go there after hours. The hallway was behind the main studio, accessed through a service door that looked like a janitor's closet. I stumbled on it by accident one night when I was looking for the freight elevator. The door was slightly ajar, revealing a long corridor lit by red emergency lights. Something pulled me forward. Not curiosity. Something else. Like the hallway wanted me to find it. I stepped inside. The temperature dropped immediately. My breath came out in visible puffs. The walls were painted industrial gray, no decoration, no windows, just doors. 7 of them, all identical, all closed. Each door had a small plaque, but instead of room numbers they had names: kindness, laughter, Joy, generosity, compassion, authenticity, love. I reached for the handle of the first door, kindness, but before I could turn it, I heard footsteps behind me. Ellen. She was standing at the entrance of the hallway, backlit by the fluorescent lights of the main corridor, but something was wrong with her silhouette. It was too tall, too angular, like she was stretched. "You're not supposed to be here," she said softly, but her voice didn't match her mouth. It came from everywhere at once. I backed away. I know what you were doing." She stepped into the hallway, and the red lights flickered. "Everyone eventually finds their way here. It's part of the design. What is this place?" She smiled. That same smile from TV, but stretched too wide, held too long. "This is where I keep them. The things I gave up to become Ellen DeGeneres' trademark." She walked past me, running her fingers along the doors like they were old friends. "Every deal requires sacrifice. I gave up 7 things, 1 for each season I was supposed to fail." She stopped at the door marked Authenticity and pressed her palm against it. From inside, I heard a sound, like breathing, wet, labored breathing. "They're still alive," she whispered, "in a way, waiting to be reclaimed. But I don't want them back." She turned to face me, and her eyes were completely black. "Do you know what it's like to be free of empathy? To smile without meaning it? To touch people without feeling them?" I couldn't move, couldn't speak. "It's freedom," she said, "and it's mine." I ran. I don't remember the exact path I took, just the sound of my shoes hitting concrete and my heart hammering against my ribs. When I burst through the service door back into the main studio area, everything looked normal. Bright lights, clean floors, the faint smell of coffee. I told myself I'd imagined it. Stress, exhaustion, too many late nights. But the next day, during taping, Ellen looked directly at me. She was mid-joke, audience laughing, cameras rolling, and she turned her head and locked eyes with me in the shadows backstage. Her smile never faltered, but her eyes said, "I see you." After that, things escalated. My work assignments changed without explanation. I was suddenly scheduled for overnight shifts, cleaning duty, equipment checks, jobs that kept me in the building when everyone else was gone. My supervisor Derek stopped speaking to me entirely. When I tried to ask questions, he'd just shake his head and walk away. Then came the envelope. It appeared in my locker one morning. Standard studio envelope, my name handwritten on the front. Inside was a single card. "You've been selected for a special project. Report to Studio 1. A tonight at midnight. Come alone." ED. I should have quit right there. Should have packed my things and never looked back. But I didn't, because part of me needed to understand. Part of me needed to know if what I'd seen was real. Studio 1A was completely dark when I arrived at 11:58 p.m. No security, no crew, just me and the vast empty space where hundreds of people usually sat laughing at Ellen's jokes. The stage was lit by a single spotlight, and sitting in the guest chair, wearing her signature blazer and jeans, was Ellen. "Right on time," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. "Come, sit. Let's have a conversation." I walked slowly toward the stage, every instinct screaming to run, But I climbed the steps and sat down in the host chair, Ellen's chair. The leather was cold, wrong, like sitting in something dead. "Do you know why I chose you?" Ellen asked, leaning forward. "Out of the 400 people who work here, why I pulled you into this?" I shook my head. "Because you're curious. You ask questions. You look for cracks." She smiled. "And the trickster loves curiosity. It's the easiest door to walk through." "The trickster?" "That's what I call it. Others have different names. The deal. The trade. The hollow." She stood and walked to center stage, spreading her arms wide. "In 2001, I was finished. Cancelled. Blacklisted. I'd come out, and America decided they didn't want me anymore." She turned back to me, eyes gleaming. "So, I made a trade. 7 pieces of my humanity for 7 seasons of success. 1 season became 2. 2 became 10. 10 became 19. And now I'm so far gone, I can't even remember what I gave up first." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because the trade is ending," she said, "and the trickster needs a new host. Someone young, someone the audience will love, someone who can smile on command." My blood went cold. "I'm offering you the same deal," Ellen continued. "Give up what makes you human, and I'll give you everything you ever wanted. Fame, money, power. You'll never worry about rent or rejection or failure again. You'll be untouchable." "What's the catch?" She laughed. "You'll be empty. Forever. But trust me, after a while, you won't even notice." I stood up from the chair. "I'm not doing this." Ellen tilted her head. "You think you have a choice?" "I'm leaving. Right now." "And go where?" she asked calmly. "Back to Philadelphia? Back to poverty? You think other studios will hire you after I make one phone call?" She stepped closer. "You signed an NDA. You saw Hallway D. You know what I am. You think I can let you just walk away?" The lights in the studio began to flicker. All of them. The stage, the audience, the control room, and in each flicker I saw them. Figures, standing in the audience seats. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All facing the stage, all wearing the same frozen smile. "These are the others," Ellen said. "The ones who said no. The ones who tried to leave. The ones who told." She gestured to the crowd of shadows. "They're still here, still working, still smiling, but there's nothing left inside." One of the figures stepped forward into the light. It was Carol, the woman who'd interviewed me, but her face was wrong, smooth, featureless like a mannequin wearing skin. "You have until sunrise to decide," Ellen said. "Accept the trade or join them. Either way, you're not leaving this building the same person." She walked off stage, heels clicking against wood, and disappeared into the darkness. I was alone with the shadows. I ran through the studio trying every exit. They were all locked. Every door, every emergency exit, every window. The building had become a cage. The shadows followed me. Not chasing, just appearing. In doorways, hallways, reflections, always watching, always smiling. I found myself back in Hallway D. The 7 doors were all open now, red light spilling out, and from each room came sounds. Kindness. Children laughing, then screaming. Laughter. A single voice cackling, never stopping. Joy. Music playing backward. Generosity. Coins dropping, endless, maddening. Compassion. Someone begging for help. Authenticity. Silence. Complete. Suffocating. Love. A heartbeat. Slowing. Stopping. And then I saw it. At the end of the hallway, an eighth door. One I hadn't noticed before. The plaque read, Exit. I ran for it, grabbed the handle. It was ice cold. I turned it and pushed, and fell. Not through a door, through reality itself, like falling through water, through air, through nothing. And when I landed, I was outside the studio, on the parking lot, 4:37 a.m. I drove home and never went back. They sent me a severance package, $50,000, a glowing reference letter, and a note. Thank you for your time with us. We hope you found your experience enlightening. ED. I took the money, changed my name, moved to Portland, got a job in tech, tried to forget. But Ellen's show kept going for 7 more years. And every time I saw her on TV, dancing, smiling, giving away cars, I could see it. The emptiness behind her eyes, the mechanical precision of her movements, the way her laugh sounded like a recording. And when the scandal broke in 2020, the toxic workplace allegations, the crew testimonies, the investigations, I wasn't surprised. I was relieved. Finally, people were seeing the cracks, but they only saw the surface. The cruelty, the bullying, the coldness. They never saw Hallway D. They never saw the shadows. They never saw what she really traded to stay on top for 19 years. When her show ended in 2022, I watched the final episode. Ellen gave her closing speech, thanked everyone, and said, "The thing about kindness is learning when to stop giving it away." And she looked directly into the camera, directly at me, and smiled. I haven't seen the shadows since, but sometimes, late at night, I hear it, the humming, from the walls, and I know they're still there, still working, still smiling, still waiting for the next person to find Hallway D. If you've ever worked in entertainment, if you've ever felt something was wrong but couldn't explain it, if you've ever been told to smile when you wanted to scream, check your hallways, check your locked doors, and whatever you do, don't accept deals from people who never stop smiling, because some trades you can never take back.